My husband keeps ruining my birthday. How do I tell him without starting a fight? It is my 41 years old birthday today. My husband, 49 years old, of 19 years can be an asshole. I don't need anyone to tell me that. His shitty behavior is few and far between though. Most of the time we get along, love each other, sex is great and fairly frequent. He is very unselfish in bed, cleans up around the house, ready to jump in and do whatever needs to get done with the kids. Generally a good husband with some bad qualities. The problem arises when we try to resolve conflict, and he is extremely defensive to the point is aggressive. Hence my post. Last year on my birthday I didn't tell him clearly enough what I wanted him to do while we planned the evening. He ended up snapping at me, then refusing to speak to me, and I ended up crying driving myself and our kids to the trampoline park. That's where I wanted to go. I love it. He doesn't. This year I was clear. I said I wanted to do the pool or another type adventure park by us. Think Dave and Buster's but also with a zip line. He said, oh no, don't plan anything. He has a surprise. While I was out running a quick errand with my daughter today, he told me to come home because the surprise was almost there. It was that he invited my mother over for the day. My mother and I aren't close. She is emotionally cold and distant to the point she can be rude to me, and he knows our relationship is unfulfilling at best and disappointing at worst. She will sometimes just pretend I'm not speaking and start talking to someone else while I am mid-sentence. We don't spend time together, and my husband doesn't particularly like her either. And so far he has spent the day giving us 20 minutes at the table having cake. Then he went in our hot tub alone. Now is downstairs playing some video games. I'm stuck here with my mom who will probably stay until bedtime. I feel like my day is ruined again. I'm seething mad. In all fairness to him, he bought me flowers and several pieces of Coach jewelry, even though I don't wear jewelry, which he knows. I feel like he threw money at it, invited my mom to babysit me, so now he can do what he wants. How do I bring this up without causing a raging argument? I feel angry and overlooked. I feel like I was handled and then bailed on. Please give me some blueprint for how to handle this. So he invited your mother, who he knows you don't get along with, and bought you jewelry, which he knows you don't like. He deliberately sabotaged your birthday. This isn't clueless incompetence, and you have every right to be completely pissed off at him. Go get a fancy meal out in a new outfit. On him. I bicker a lot with my live-in boyfriend. How do we actually make this household work? I am not a saint. I know that. I just want impartial advice, so I know how to proceed. I got so freaked out just now, I almost packed my bag to leave for a weekend. My boyfriend works full-time, and I am a full-time university student in a science degree. We have lived together since August 2023. I am clumsy, and I have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. It's not a fun combo. I scratch things easily, I break things easily, and I am forgetful. I spend so much time focused on school, I forget a large chunk of the chores. I can also be very disorganized. Balancing school and a household has been a little rough on me. My boyfriend wants dinner a lot of nights when he gets home, and I sometimes feel like I need to study until my eyes bleed. There are nights when we cook together, but usually at the end of the day, he's tired, and so am I. My boyfriend spends most of the money. I am not financially independent right now. Working a job and going to school has given me problems and caused me to even break down. He makes a good salary, considering he owns the house we live in, and usually when he gets home just wants to relax. I sometimes feel like he doesn't view me as an equal partner. He will bring up how much money he spends on me, and it makes me uncomfortable. We just got into it because I finished the yogurt that he wanted, and he mentioned how he wants to eat food he paid for. I told him that I didn't appreciate the comment considering he does this to me all the time, and also that him throwing in my face that he pays for groceries upsets me. We've had times when he's very snappy and annoyed. In these moments I can't say anything right. He'll assume I'm intending to be snide or condescending towards him. Sometimes he can be mean. He's not good at apologizing either. He'll know he was wrong, but rarely will he say sorry. He's selectively organized. He will chide me for not putting a bottle back exactly the way he had it, but leaves his wet towels on the floor after a shower. Sometimes I'll be lying in bed during the day, and he'll ask me to leave because he wants a moment alone, and I'll have to leave to accommodate him. The flip side is he's plenty affectionate and supportive. He offers to help me, usually tries to assure me he can help with finances, and we usually squash whatever argument we were having before bedtime. He gets groceries for us, helps me problem solve, and honestly has had to do a lot of emotional labor when I'm stressed with school. I grew up in a shitty household. I don't know what's normal. I don't know if having 30-minute discussions about who finished the yogurt is normal, or if untangling if we're trying being mean to each other is normal. We'll get into these things where he says he can't explain it, but I'm being rude. I feel like I'm up to my eyeballs and I can't decipher what it is exactly. The expectation of cooking, cramming 3 7-week-long classes, and then doing most of the chores in my spare time is driving me nuts. And then on top of that, I have to hear about money spent on me. I don't know, I'm sorry if I sound a little incoherent, but I'm a bit anxious and frazzled right now. I love my boyfriend and I know he loves me, but I need stuff to just go smoothly right now. Recognizing the factors that make behavioral adjustments difficult due to ADHD is important. Communicate with your boyfriend openly about your feelings and work together to resolve conflicts and improve household tasks. Understanding the phases of relationships and discussing standards and division of chores can help create a happier shared household. Focus on improving communication and creating a plan to establish a smoother living situation for both of you. Would I be the antagonist if I refused to forgive my mother-in-law? I am a 26-year-old female and my partner is a 25-year-old female. We live with her mother, referred to as mother-in-law, and her grandparents who only moved out 2 weeks ago. Since they moved out, mother-in-law has been awful to be around, constantly using it against us that we are in her house, getting angry about every little thing, etc. Keep in mind mother-in-law doesn't drive, and never has. My partner only got her license last year, so before that, I was driving everyone around everywhere, including mother-in-law. If I said no, mother-in-law would ignore me for at least a day. 2 days ago, a petty argument started. Mother-in-law asked me, "What have you ever done to help my family?" To which I replied, "For 3 years before my partner got their license, I drove you around." She got extremely heated and got up and started coming at me, screaming, "Fuck you, get out of my fucking house," etc. I walked away to pack my bag, which my partner followed. I tried to say to her, "You need to decide if you're coming with me or not." Before I could finish my sentence, mother-in-law burst into the room, right up in my face and screamed, "She is my daughter, she's mine," which I just responded over and over, "She's my partner." Mother-in-law then turned around, screamed at me, "Fuck you, cunt. No wonder your mother never loved you, my mother, and I have a strained relationship, and I've previously confided in mother-in-law about it." My partner and I left and went to her grandparents. Partner is allergic to dogs and everyone in my family has them, so we had nowhere else to go. Fast forward to the following day, we are at grandparents' house. Mother-in-law calls grandma, makes her put it on speaker and starts berating me, calling me names. "Get the fuck out of my parents' house, you little bitch. Fuck you. You'll use them like you used me, etc." I left and told my partner I will never forgive her. She will never be welcome in my home. She can go to hell as far as I'm concerned. I've told my partner I understand it's her mother. I would never stop her from having a relationship with mother-in-law. But she is not welcome around me. I don't want her in my life or anything to do with me. Now my partner is annoyed with me because I won't forgive her mother, and I'm annoyed as I feel my partner should be defending me more. I feel I'm well within my rights to be feeling the way I am, and not to forgive someone who could be so horrible and nasty to me, bringing up something so sensitive to specifically hurt me. So, am I the asshole? Not the antagonist. Your partner is in a difficult position, but not as difficult as you. So she's annoyed because you won't forgive her mom, who has not apologized, verbally abused you with awful language, and tried to hurt you by betraying a trust. Your Mill is not having a one-off mental breakdown where she snapped at everyone and quickly apologized. She is not kind to you, and she will continue to abuse you if you are subjected to her. If your partner condones her mother's abuse, then she is equally to blame for allowing it to happen and enabling it by asking you to get over it. Your relationship may not be feasible long-term if her mom will always be between you, even if she isn't physically there. Why does my husband, 32 not appreciate me? 30F. I'm going to start off saying I'm a stay-at-home parent. We have 3 children who are 8, 3, and 1. My toddlers stay home with me while the older child goes to school. I cook every day. I clean every day. I raise our children. My 3-year-old is in ballet. My son is starting soccer. I also contribute financially. I bring in over $4,000 a month from prior arrangements I made in my past. It's not like I'm not financially contributing. He only makes $4,000 on his income alone. We couldn't survive. I handle all the finances, I pay the bills, the rent, I save. I have saved us more money than either of us have had in our life. I buy everything we need and I always look for the deals. Like our children only wear Nike or Jordans, I buy them good clothes and shoes. I never even had name brand shoes growing up. I look for sales and deals. Like the other day I bought a pair of Jordans and Nike shoes for my son and daughter for $80 tax included. That's extremely cheap. I budget everything. I buy all the groceries for the month. We have sex regularly. I don't understand him. Today we got in an argument and he told me, "What do you do all day?" I told him, "What do you mean?" He said, "Every day I come home I see you in bed." I told him, "No, you come home at 10-11 p.m. Of course I'm going to be in bed." He's a chef, leaves at 9:30 a.m., comes home at 10-11 p.m. sometimes later. Every day, essentially I'm a married single mom. I honestly do it alone. Sick days, meltdowns, I don't break. I ask 4 things of him. Take out the trash daily, take the oldest to school, fill up our water gallons when they get empty, and bring in our Walmart delivery order inside the home. I put everything away and order it and purchase it. When he's home, he's a present dad for the most part, and our kids love him. He plays his video game for hours and I mostly leave him alone. I'm not a clingy person, I like my space, so it doesn't bother me him playing. But I'm at my wit's end after everything I do. I don't understand why he treats me like I do nothing, like contribute nothing. Thank you everyone for your words. I hear you all. I wanted to respond to some comments people have made. He is French. He lived on his own since he was 18. When we met in California, he was making $16 an hour working part-time. He lived in a 2-bedroom apartment with a roommate, and he ate ramen and eggs mostly every day. He was broke and he's horrible with money. Honestly, I didn't care about his income because I have my own. I cared for him as a person. I don't ask for much. I'm not high maintenance. I try to live a humble life, but I do spoil my children. I may have $10 shoes, but my kids won't. I bring this up because there were times my income was what got us through, when he wasn't working because he got let go during COVID. But I always encouraged him. Now he's a sous chef at a big hotel. He went from eating ramen to having someone cooking him Mexican food because I'm Mexican. I learned how to do Indian food because he likes it. But I just feel that everything I do is never enough, and I'm seriously just thinking of ending it and leaving him. I don't get why he's so mean to me. He treats me like an enemy. I'm scared to break my daughter's heart because she adores her dad. But I'm sick of living like this. Like every choice I have made, helping him with his resume, interviews, moving to a different city that is nicer. All these beautiful opportunities we have are because of me saving, doing research, applying while managing everything else. We travel, stay in beautiful resorts, do things that we couldn't even dream about as kids because I look for the deals. I've created a life that's beautiful, but in his eyes I'm worthless because I don't physically go out and work. I feel like I'm starting to resent him. It sounds like your partner needs a serious reality check, as he may not understand the amount of effort you are putting into running your home. Consider trying an exercise where you both write down what you believe you contribute and compare. It could help open his eyes. Marriage counseling may be the only solution at this point to learn how to hear each other and address any underlying issues. I understand the frustration of SAPs being accused of laziness, but going on strike may not solve the problem in this situation. Am I the antagonist for being affectionate with my adult daughter? I, 38 years old, have been a single father to Emma, 22 years old, since she was born. Her mother gave up custody, and I'm not close with my family, so it's always just been us. It was hard raising her as a teen parent, but she's grown up into a wonderful young lady, so I think I did pretty good. She still lives at home while on breaks from university. I avoided seriously dating while she was little, but now that she's grown up, I've started going on dates. This is how I met Sarah, 43 years old. Sarah and I have been causally seeing each other for a couple months, and she knew about Emma. Emma came home recently acting a bit more clingy than usual, but she's always been very affectionate, so I didn't think much of it. It's very normal for her to have her head on my shoulder or her feet in my lap while watching movies together. She just likes to be physically close to people. Sarah has made a few comments, but nothing more. Last night, however, things got a little heated. Emma has been very anxious since even before coming home. I know something happened while she was away to cause her anxiety to spike, but I'm waiting for her to come to me about it. She's arranged to finish the rest of her classes online for this year, and she hasn't left the house on her own at all. She's been following me around the house more, though I can tell she's making an effort to give Sarah and I space when she visits. Last night was no different. Emma stayed close, but she gave us plenty of space. She excused herself to go to bed earlier than usual, but after a few hours, she came out of her room and pulled me aside to ask if she could sleep in my room for a bit. She promised she'd move as soon as I wanted to go to sleep, but she couldn't manage to sleep at all in her own room. Unsurprising with her anxiety and severe insomnia working against her. Of course, I told her it was fine. She hasn't slept much since coming home, so if giving up my bed in favor of the couch is what it takes, I don't mind at all. Even though Emma had spoken to me quietly, Sarah heard, and as soon as Emma left, she started berating me. She said she could excuse the touchiness but not this. She accused Emma of being jealous of her and trying to push her out of the way. She implied that my relationship with her was inappropriate. I tried to argue, but Sarah didn't listen. She kept insisting that it was wrong of an adult woman to be that close with her father and that it was creepy. I got upset and calmly explained that she had no right to speak on my relationship with my daughter. She called me a pervert and made nasty comments about Emma and stormed out. I know that there's nothing wrong with my relationship with Emma, but none of my friends have kids her age, so I can't compare notes. I feel bad for making Sarah so upset, but I don't think I did anything wrong. I don't think that was enough to actually justify that type of reaction, but I'm confused enough to second-guess myself. So am I the antagonist for being affectionate with my daughter? Emma obviously needed support for something that she isn't ready to talk about yet, and your GF is lacking empathy. There are very few things that would drive a 22-year-old to come back to live with dad and go to online-only classes if college life was going at all well. You do, however, need to get Emma to try therapy so she can get help with whatever has happened. Not the antagonist. Am I the antagonist? Asked my roommate not to use my pots, and she called me a psycho. I am a 20-year-old female and my roommate is an 18-year-old female. We live in my parents' 2-bedroom apartment. She's a daughter of my mom's friend. Our relationship was never great, and we both weren't perfect in terms of cleaning and being respectful, especially for the first 2 years of living together. During the 3rd year of her renting the room, I finally fixed my depression enough to keep the apartment clean, go to bed early, etc. My roommate, however, stayed the same. She never cleans anything except for her room, and even that happens rarely. She often uses my pots and leaves them in the sink for a week or two. I am extremely annoyed by having to do all of the chores myself, but I usually keep my annoyance to myself. At the end of the year 2023, my roommate stopped talking to me after I told her off for smoking cigarettes in her bed. After that, she pretty much ignored my existence. So I decided to finally set some boundaries. I stopped sharing toilet paper with her. I was the only one who has been buying it for the last year, and I asked her to not use my pots anymore. She completely ignored my request and told me that I have no right to tell her not to use my things, since she's renting my parents' room, so it's up to them to decide. She also called me stupid and a psycho, and promised to tell my parents about every single thing that I've done wrong during those 3 years. I don't want my parents to know about boyfriends visiting me or about the depression mess my apartment was when I was 18. I know I'm not the perfect roommate, but am I the antagonist for asking her not to use my things when she's not even talking to me? Update. This is sickening. My roommate has been collecting evidence against me all this time. She'd taken photos of the mess and stuff. What's even more weird, she voice recorded me and my ex when we were hanging out in my room. Not only she's blackmailing me, she's been collecting compromising information all along. I want to thank everyone for the advice. I will talk to my parents first, although with how conservative they are, they might kick me out lol. I realize my roommate is a lot younger than me, but we've been leaving without parental guidance for the same amount of time. She saw me battling depression all through these years, and yet, even at my lowest, I was the only person to clean the apartment. Back then it took like 2 days to deep clean the place. I feel taken advantage of and exposed, and I can't understand why she is so pressed about me setting boundaries. Not the antagonist, and I would talk to your parents first before the roommate spills a bunch of negative information to your parents. She's been renting the room since she was 15. Started off by saying you are in such a better place now, but at one time I was depressed and didn't take as good of care of myself in the apartment. But I'm better now and am responsible and trying to stay organized and grounded. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.